are your guide, ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel, ABN TV. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide, ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel, ABN TV. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide, ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel, ABN TV. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing
bad governance protests in Nigeria. Recall that Amnesty International on the 28th of November 2024 released a report titled Bloody August, Nigeria government violent crackdown on end bad governance protests, where several allegations were made against the Nigerian police, including the killing of at least 24 persons in 6 northern states during the protests. The claims made by Amnesty International in this report were at variance with the records available to the Nigerian police. All recorded incidents of violence during the protests were documented by the police in all 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. These records are available at both the Department of Operations and Department of Research and Planning of the Nigerian Police Force. It is therefore surprising to see in Amnesty International's report such unfounded claims that contradicted what was actually recorded during the protest. Notwithstanding, the Inspector General of Police, in response to the allegations contained in the report, directed a comprehensive and independent investigation into these claims. To this end, a special investigation panel was immediately constituted and given a deadline to submit its findings. The IGP also mandated the commissioners of police in the states mentioned in the report to verify the allegations as they pertain to their states and to submit additional reports of the incident. Following these directives, the commissioners of police in the affected states conducted extensive inquiries in their localities and submitted their findings to the Inspector General of Police. Copies of these findings were sent to the Special Investigation Panel. Furthermore, members of the panel visited the affected states and areas mentioned in the report, compiling their findings in a comprehensive document submitted to the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adejobi, PhD, NPM. This report forms the crux of today's briefing, where I will present detailed investigation report addressing the wide-ranging allegations made against the police in Amnesty International's report. The verified findings, Borno State. In Borno State, it was established that the protesters were violent, engaging in widespread looting, pillaging, and wanton destruction of public and private property. For example, the Skill Acquisition Center of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees was looted and vandalized. The warehouse of the World Food Programme, located on Baga Maimalari Barracks Road, Maiduguri, was also looted, with several items belonging to the international organization destroyed and stolen by some of the protesters. Of particular interest is the reported death of 3 fuel attendants at AA Kime filling station, that is Nasiru Mustafa, 26 years, Amadou Garba Maina, 24 years, and Momodi Hassan. Amnesty International claimed on pages 22 and 25 of its report that these 3 individuals died when a hand grenade was thrown into the filling station by a convoy of police vehicles. These allegations are not only false and misleading, but are also a clear attempt to incite the general public against the police and tarnish the image of the Nigerian police force in the eyes of the international community. For the record, the Nigerian police does not possess or utilize explosive hand grenades in its operations. Explosive hand grenades have never been purchased, issued, or utilized by the Nigerian police force since its establishment as a law enforcement agency. How and where Amnesty International obtained such information can only be speculated upon by mischievous minds. To set the record straight, the trial of Nasiru Mustafa, Amadou Garba, Maina, and Momodu Hassan, all staff of Kimes and Sons filling station, were killed by an improvised explosive device, IED, fabricated with a safety-free mechanism and planted at the filling station on Baga Road, Maiduguri, not at Bolori Junction, as Amnesty International claimed. Furthermore, these 3 young men were not protesting when they met their untimely deaths. In fact, they did not participate in the protests and were believed to have been killed for choosing to ignore the protests and continue with their lawful business. It should also be noted that the Nigeria police, based on credible intelligence, had warned ahead of the protests of terror elements planning to infiltrate the demonstrations. The protests in Borno on 1st of August 2024 witnessed 3 IED explosions planted by unknown persons at the following locations: the Ribe Junction along Bulunkutu Abuja Road in Maiduguri, Kimen and Sons filling station along Baga Road, Maiduguri, and a residential area within Maiduguri metropolis. The police bomb disposal unit responded to these explosions, recovered evidence of the improvised explosive devices, and facilitated the evacuation of casualties to the hospital. For example, at the Ribe Junction, the explosion left 3 adult males severely injured. That is, Guri Mohammed, 24 years, Isa Husseini, 20, and Ahmed Abdullah Yusuf, 24 years. At the 3rd location, one Modu Jallo, 35 years, was injured in a residential house in the Madu Ganari area. Therefore, the claims by Amnesty International that the police threw hand grenade from a convoy of vehicles into a filling station, killing 3 persons, is a blatant falsehood, and leaves right-thinking members of the society dismayed at this reported falsehood by an international agency which ought to act in accordance with international norms and standards of fair and honest reporting of human rights violations in the country. Niger State. Amnesty International alleged that 3 persons, Yahaya Isa, 32 years, Mohammed Bukau, 38, and Musa Muhammadu, were shot and killed in Suleja, Niger State. This claim has been found to be false. Reputable sources in Suleja and Tafa areas confirmed that nobody was killed by the police in Niger State on 1st August 2024. It is instructive to note that Amnesty International's claim was based solely on an unverified and disputed report published in Premium Times on 18th August 2024, titled How Police Killed Injured Protesters During End-Bad Governance Protests in Niger State. For an international agency to publish a report based on unverified local tabloid information is unethical. If Amnesty International's motives were genuine, it will have verified this information from local authorities before publication. Katsina State. In Katsina State, Amnesty International alleged that one Shafiu Mukhtar or Filin Sanyi Kofa, Sauri Katsina, age 21, was shot dead by the police on 5th August 2024. This report has been fact-checked and found to be false. Reliable sources confirmed to the verification team that there was no report of any killing in the community on that day. There are also no records in police stations or hospitals of such an incident. Kaduna State. Amnesty International's report claims that on 1st October 2024, the police in Kaduna State killed one Abubakar Adamu Abdullahi, a 24-year-old tailor, by shooting him in the chest. However, from verified records, there was no protest in Kaduna on that date, nor was there any killing recorded. Instead, on 6th August 2024, during the protest, a military patrol at Samaru, Zaria, accosted some youths vandalizing public property. In the process of firing a warning shot, one Ismail Muhammad was accidentally hit by a bullet and died on the way to the hospital. The Nigerian Army immediately took responsibility for this incident, conducting an open investigation, arresting the soldier responsible, and visiting the family of the deceased. Amnesty International's report on this incident is a misrepresentation. In Jigawa State, Amnesty International stated in its report that 2 female citizens were shot and killed by the police at Adeja and Duse. The report on pages 20 and 21 identified those killed as Alima Abdullahi, female, age 28 years, allegedly killed at Adeja; Sadia Sabiu, female, age 20 years, allegedly killed at Adeja, while Rabiu Saliu, male, aged unstated, was said to have been killed in Duse. This report has also been found to be inaccurate and totally misleading. There is no evidence of killing at Adeja as confirmed by relevant authorities of the Adeja Emirate Council. The alleged death of Alima Abdullahi and Sadia Sabio has been found to be false, while Rabiu Saliu was not killed by the police as alleged, but died from injuries sustained when some protesters who attempted to gain forceful entry into the government house, Duse, hurled stones and hard objects in his direction and fatally injured him on the head. He was eventually rescued by the police and rushed to the Duse Teaching Hospital, where he succumbed to his injury. The assertion by Amnesty International that he was shot in the head by the police is emphatically false and atrocious, especially as the report stated that he died the next day. One wonders how a victim of gunshots to the head would manage to survive for that long. It must be noted that even when the protesters in Jigawa became violent and riotous, the police restrained itself and avoided the use of firearms against the protesters. Kano State. In Kano, Amnesty International alleged that the police shot and killed 12 persons from 1st to 3rd August 2024, while unconfirmed records suggested that 12 persons comprising of 11 males and 1 female died from various degrees of injuries. None was attributed to police action. The unverified report suggested that some of the protesters who died were killed by the owners of the property they were looting and pillaging, and others were killed by assailants who took undue advantage of the crisis and riot across the city to perpetrate heinous crimes. However, from verified records in Kano State Police Command, there were no documented evidence or records of loss of lives reported to the police by relatives of these deceased. It is important to note that some of the protesters arrested in Kano had in their possession AK-47 rifles, which were recovered and properly documented by the police in Kano. A protester found in possession of firearms was identified as Mahe Ahmed Mohammed. He was arrested with rifle number 9130 and 1494, along with 59 other suspects who had invaded the premises of Kano State High Court at Audu Bako Secretariat and stolen several government property. Other allegations. The Nigerian Police Force categorically denies the allegations of excessive use of force as claimed by Amnesty International, as these claims are false, misleading, and an unfair misrepresentation of the actions and conduct of our officers. The Nigerian Police Force operates under the highest professional standards and remains fully committed to upholding human rights and the rule of law. Our officers deployed for protest management are regularly being trained in compliance with international human rights standards. While the Nigerian Police Force respects and recognizes the constitutional right of citizens to peaceful assembly and freedom of expression, it is equally charged with the responsibility of maintaining law and order. During the End Bad Governance protests, police officers were deployed to safeguard protesters, protect lives and property, and prevent disruptions caused by infiltrators seeking to hijack the demonstrations. Contrary to Amnesty International's claims, there is no credible evidence to support allegations of killings or excessive use of force by the police. Reports of officers firing live rounds at protesters or targeting unarmed civilians are baseless and were not corroborated by independent investigations. Evidence available to the Nigerian Police Force indicates that certain elements infiltrated the protests with the intention of inciting violence, destroying public property, and endangering public safety. The police responded with minimum force without the use of firearms to disperse such disruptive elements in accordance with legal guidelines. Detentions and prosecutions were conducted with legal frameworks, and allegations of arbitrary arrest, maltreatment, or denial of legal access are unsubstantiated. The report released by Amnesty International on the hand bad governance protests in Nigeria is inaccurate and misleading. All international organizations that are independent of political and economic interests are required by ethical and international best practices to demonstrate objectivity, fairness, and balance in their reportage. Unfortunately, these qualities were missing in the Amnesty International's report. The Nigeria Police Force in this present dispensation, under the amiable leadership of IGP Kayode Adejobi, has demonstrated high level of professionalism in public order management across the country. Our standard operating procedure with respect to peaceful public protests is to provide security for peaceful protesters to conduct their protests unmolested by opposing groups, miscreants, and criminal elements. Most importantly, our commitment is to ensure that peaceful protests do not turn violent or endanger the lives and property of other law-abiding citizens. Where protesters begin to loot, burn, pillage property, and kill innocent citizens, including law enforcement agents, the police are duty-bound to halt the drift into anarchy using minimum force. Finally, the police will wish to draw the attention of Amnesty International to the recent decision of the United Nations General Assembly published in its report reference A/HRC/50/42, page 18, paragraph 81B. The UN Human Rights Council stated thus: in regard to facilitating peaceful protest, states should issue protocols on the facilitation of peaceful protest for law enforcement compatible with international standards regarding the use of force, measures to protect peaceful protesters, bystanders, monitors, lawyers, and medics, including from counter-protesters and other targeted forms of violence during a variety of crisis situations, and providing for graduated use of force, setting clear limitations on the use of lethal and less lethal weapons. Such protocols must take into account a gender perspective and address the vulnerability of different groups. This decision by the United Nations Human Rights Council has been the gold standard for the Nigeria Police Force, and our established protocols, which we have followed diligently, is to provide adequately for the security and safety of protesters by ensuring that criminal elements and hoodlums do not take undue advantage to cause total breakdown of law and order. The use of force on protesters is prohibited under the protocols except when necessary to protect lives and prevent the destruction of property. This was the protocol adopted during the End Bad Governance protests in Nigeria, as police commands across the nation were specifically directed to protect lives and property of citizens during the protest. Amnesty International is advised to have retrospection on its frequently false reporting on Nigeria's law enforcement activities and reflects on its reporting methodology by ensuring that its reports are accurate and contains true and fair expression of events that touches on national security and safety of all Nigerians. Accurate reporting of facts is key to the integrity and character of every international organization, and Amnesty International should not be an exception. In conclusion, the Nigeria Police Force will in due time be writing the Amnesty International to demand for a retraction of this report from the public space and with a public apology. The Nigeria Police Force remains resolute in protecting the rights of all citizens while ensuring the security and stability of the nation. We therefore urge the public to be wary of sensational reports designed to incite mistrust and weaken confidence in law enforcement institutions. Thank you, gentlemen of the press, and God bless you.
This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide, ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel, ABN TV.
Do you wish to bring your goods and services to the global view? Are you tired of struggling with low patronage? This is the opportunity you've been looking for. ABN TV and radio is here to offer you accessibility and connect you to the whole world through our limitless windows of advertising. We offer online publication, online television and radio services with a global reach, digital marketing, video and audio advert jingle production, digital studio and event management. In ABN, we give you value for your money. For your advert placements, contact us on 0701 3559600 or send us an email at abnonlinetv@gmail.com. For more information, log on to www.abntv.ng. You can also download our app on your Google Play Store. Download ABN Radio. ABN Online TV and Radio Station, bringing the world closer to you.
This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide, ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your